Greetings. This is Team West Coast Best Coast. The goal of this presentation is to demonstrate the following. 1. Proper adherence and use of modular subsystems, each with its own function. For this project, we've used a typical MVC structure and a server.js to help us route API calls. We'll also be demonstrating communication among the subsystem. Before we go into the demonstration, I'd like to mention Glitch. It has been the web application that has helped us programmers coordinate our work. This application is built on React, and you can tell from the extension .jsx. App.jsx is the main application in this program, and it holds the game component or game object. Index.html holds the address and web page where all gamers or users can enjoy the same gaming experience. Now moving on to the MVC of our application, starting off with the model, which holds the data of the application. It is the db_setup. This holds all the data that we'll need in application, including the player ID, the player's location, the cards that the player currently have, the status of the notepad, and every movement of data within our application. The next is controller, and stored in a controller.js. And this holds all the logic that we will need for every function in our application. Finally, our view, which is written in React. And this allows us to hold things such as states that would help us dynamically change objects in our view. The view is located on the right hand and will be demonstrated in a few. At the start of every game, the model and controller do some things behind the scene to make sure that the game is ready. For the purpose of this demonstration, we are using two players, Miss Scarlet and Mr. Green. Miss Scarlet has been added to the game by controller with a player ID of 0 and a location 34. This means that she's in here. Mr. Green with an ID of 1 and a location 23. These locations, for the purpose of demonstration, are based on a matrix format where the bottom left is 0, 0 and the top right is 4, 4. This means that Mrs. Green is in 3, 4, and then Mrs. Scarlet is in 3, 4, and then Mr. Green is in 2, 3. After the controller adds the player to the game, the controller then draws a crime out of the deck and then shuffles the deck. Then calls on the model, which returns the number of players that we have within the game. The model, remember, holds the data. After we know the number of players, the controller knows how to deal the cards and then deal the cards to 2 players. After dealing the cards, since we know the crime card, the controller helps the player mark the cards on the notepad, and then we assign each notepad to each player. Now we can see on the view that the notepad that we've assigned to Miss Scarlet, study, hall, lounge, the billiard, dining room, all comes from our database. So the view makes an API call to the data that we have in the model, and then the model returns this data for us in our personal notebook. We also have another section in the view called player action, and this holds all the movement or action that a player can do: directional movements, directional actions, or suggestions and accusations. At the bottom here, we are reporting data that is being held in the model. This data is location of each player. In our case, 3, 4 holds location of Miss Scarlet. So now let's test and see how our application runs between the view, model, and controller upon the start of every game. So Miss Scarlet that is up here, if I push the button up, we will not be able to go because there's no room up, and we can tell from the information we get in the console log. We can see that controller player with an ID 0 requested to move up. If we look and updated the location of the player, we see that the location has not changed, which means it was an invalid call. Okay, now let's decide to go left. So as Miss Scarlett, we go left. Pick that. From 3, 4, we go to 2, 4. We go left again. We go from 2, 4 to 1, 4. We can see that as this updates. And then from left again, let's go to the corner of the room so that I can demonstrate another function that we have. Now that we're in the corner of the room, 0, 4 up here, we have another function called secret, which allows the player to move from one corner of the room to another diagonal corner. So if I click that, I should move from 0, 4 to 4, 0. We can see that there's a change. I can also make things such as suggestions, and we can see Miss Scarlett committed. We can see that from the view, we do an API call to the function of the controller, and then Miss Scarlett committed a crime. We suggest that, and we can also accuse Miss Scarlett. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. I do hope that we've been able to demonstrate proper adherence to the MVC structure. We have our model, our view controller, our server.js that helps us with routing API calls, make accusations, get player location, and communication amongst this subsystem. Thank you very much.